Assalamualaikum and a very good evening and peace be upon you. I bid to everyone that is present here today. So my name is Muhammad Daniel bin Rusli and I'll be serving as your moderator for today. Happy International Youth Day to everyone, and I would like to welcome everyone to our youth dialogue with the theme of transforming food system, Asia Pacific Youth Voice, Rethink Safe and Sustainable and Healthy Food. This youth dialogue is organized by the Asia Pacific Youth Caucus of Major Group Children and Youth, IYC for Peace under International Youth Center Kuala Lumpur Malaysia and Asian Youth Network. And not to forget, this program is organized in collaboration with Friends for Leadership, Children and Major Group of UNEP, Sustainable Energy and Enterprise Development for Communities, SEED4COM, Global Youth Health Caucus of a major group of children and youth, and Asia Pacific Interagency Network on Youth. For today's event, we have some remarkable speakers on board with us, and I'm sure that the participants are eager to hear on what they have to say and share with us today. To start off today's event, I would like to invite Ms. Sharifah Nuriza Syed Ahmad Kabir, Asia Pacific Regional Caucus Coordinator and Major Group for Children and Youth, to give a warm welcoming speech, followed by Dr. Muhammad Maliki Muhammad Rafi'i, the Director of International Youth Center Kuala Lumpur, to confer the keynote speech. The floor is yours, Ms. Sharifah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Esteemed organizing partners, distinguished speakers, and youth participants, my name is Sharifah Nuriza Syed Ahmad Kabir. I'm a coordinator for Asia Pacific Youth Caucus under the Major Group for Children and Youth, and also the founder for IYC for Peace Initiative and Asian Youth Network. And I would like to welcome you to this virtual dialogue in commemoration of the International Youth Day 2021 with the theme Asia Pacific Youth Voice. It is a pleasure for me to be here today and to welcome all of you to join our program today. And we will have keynote speaker Dr. Maliki Muhammad Rafi'i, the Director of IYC for Peace. And we have Ms. Hope Zimba from UN Habitat Youth and Inclusion Expert, who will be representing the Asia Pacific Interagency Network on Youth, and will be representing as the co-chairs of FLPNI. And we have also Dr. Roman Shakov, who will be presenting the closing remarks at the end of this session. And we will welcome all the youth speakers that will be sharing their experience and initiative during this session. And we have various speakers, I can say, from the Southeast Asia, from South Asia, from other region as well, and also our friends from the Pacific region. So I welcome all the speakers and many thanks for all of you for accepting the invitation to join us today. And I hope you can share your experience and also initiative. And I hope this dialogue can share the role of youth in the Asia Pacific region in promoting the food system and the advancement of the SDG, especially in connection to SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, and also SDG 12. And we cannot deny the importance of SDG 16 and SDG 17 in this discussion. And many thanks also to our dear colleagues from IYC for Peace Initiative team, the Asia Pacific Youth Caucus under MDCY, which is the Major Group for Children and Youth, and also all the constituencies who are partnering with us for this event, which is Global Youth Caucus, Global Health Youth Caucus, and also the Children and Youth Group of United Nations Environment Program, and the International Youth Center Kuala Lumpur, Friends for Leadership, Asian Youth Network, SEED4COM, and Kids Who Farm for the great teamwork and also very good effort in organizing this discussion today. And it is so keen to engage in meaningful dialogues and also surrounding the topic of the food system transformation, SDG, and also the youth empowerment. Distinguished guests and youth advocates who are coming for today's dialogue. This dialogue is actually aimed in promoting the meaningful youth engagement in order to help shape the future generation of leaders and also to create the change makers in the community, and also to create the positive youth transformation. And it is also considered, this dialogue is actually considered as pre-summit initiative, which will bring to the stage of cultivating the global event, which is happening in September 2021, which is the UN Food System Summit. And will be held in September by bringing together diverse actors from around the world to engage in the meaningful discussion of food system and also the delivery of progress under the 17th Sustainable Development Goals (SDG). Okay, from our perspective, it is actually very important. This kind of dialogue is very important, not only to provide opportunity to shape a policy discussion, but also this dialogue represent a unique opportunity to learn how to engage with the community and to contribute to the community. When it comes to food systems topic, it's very important to mention youth dialogue and youth engagement to further shape the view of society needs, and also to engage on how to achieve the related goals of SDG, and also including the goal 16. And many thanks to everyone for sharing your showing your interest to discuss these issues, which is interlinkages also with the other related issues around the world, which is global hunger, biodiversity loss, and also climate change and public health issues. For those regions, we are delighted to continue to work with young people in MDCY and also in International Youth Center. So it's very important for us to engage with Youth 2030 strategy, and you'll be inspired by the experience that will be shared today. I hope that you will enjoy the discussion and will actively participate, especially in the group discussion later on. And we have a very important people guiding you in terms of the topics, and also I hope that you will be inspired by them. Okay, for that, I wish you all the best, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion after this. Now I will pass the floor to our esteemed keynote speaker. I would like to welcome Dr. Muhammad Maliki Muhammad Rafi'i, which is the Director of International Youth Center Kuala Lumpur, and also a dear mentor of many youths in Malaysia and Asia region especially. And I welcome you to deliver your keynote message. And afterwards, I would like to pass the session to my dear colleague Daniel to continue with the next agenda. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and peace be upon you.
Thank you, Sharifah. May I know you can hear my voice? Is it clear? If clear, can you show your thumbs up like that? Thank you very much. I can see Esther. Thank you, Teresa. Once again, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. My name is Maliki, as a director for International Youth Center. Thank you, Daniel and Shahira, as a moderator. First of all, I would like to thank Asia Pacific Youth Caucus and the Major Group Children and Youth and IYC for Peace Initiative team under my agency, the International Youth Center Kuala Lumpur, and Asian Youth Network for organizing this important youth dialogue in commemoration of International Youth Day 2021. And I also want to wish you a happy Southeast Asian Day. It was on the 8th of August last week. It is a pleasure to co-organize this event in support of our youth partners, Asia Pacific Interagency Network on Youth, the APINY, Major Group for Children and Youth, MGCY, Friends for Leadership, FFL, SID for Com, and Kids Wu Farm, and of course, all vibrant youth speakers and participants in this event. Thank you for inviting me to deliver a keynote speech in this meaningful event. Honestly, I'm happy to engage in this youth dialogue. For me, by involving the youth in this kind of engagement session like we have today, it is very important and meaningful action because whatever decision we make today will affect the next generation, which young people today will be held accountable of the impact. As my capacity as International Youth Center Kuala Lumpur Malaysia or IYC, and my second hat as the Secretary General of the Asian Youth Council or AYC, I have always been aware of the burden borne by the youth, especially in the Asian region, which is mostly systemically related to the cycle of the food industry and agricultural production. Asia, which is the most compactly populated continent with a population of over 4.8 billion. Asia is known as one of the largest food producers in the world, and at the same time, also known as a region that is most affected by the process. It covers issues like climate change, uncontrolled use of land only to meet the demand of food production, use of hazardous chemical and fertilizers, cheap labor, and human trafficking, conflict over marine resources, trade imbalances, and even unfair distribution of resources. By referring to the SDG or Sustainable Development Goals and Food System Summit, FSS 2021, which set out 5 action tracks as a guideline that need to be followed up and to be achieved. Today, we will focus on action track 1. It was to ensure access to safe, nutritious food for all. And action track 5, it was build resilience to vulnerabilities, shocks, and stresses. Ensure access to safe, nutritious food for all. Youth is the most vulnerable group and affected at food-related issues. That is uncontrolled overeating patterns, which then can contribute to obesity, and on the other hand, is lack of food issues, which leads to malnutrition. Both this problem potentially cause young people who are supposed to be fit and healthy to get unnecessary health burden. Young people who are supposed to be an asset are now turning to be a liability to their family and their country. In Malaysian context, this problem requires cross-agency cooperation such as the Ministry of Agricultural and Food Industry, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth and Sport, and even non-governmental organizations such as Malaysian Youth Council to form young people who are highly aware and capable in getting healthy and safe food resources. Another worrying issue is the failure to get healthy food. In the context of developing country and developed countries, our young people are overflowing with food sources. In fact, they considered food as a symbol of luxury and wealth, while the fact is that the food does not have adequate nutrition. Even worse, it contains harmful substances. We can take an example of a famous brand in Malaysia that has been described and promoted as a healthy chocolate malt drink since long time ago, and even promoted and associated with sports and fitness activities. But unfortunately, the fact is that it contains sugars that can cause diabetes. Secondly, build resilience to vulnerabilities, shocks, and stresses. The last 10 years of the SDGs shows the widening gap between food production and also food products consumers. Too many unforeseen and complex challenges exist in the process of forming a harmonious and resilient food chain management system. Among them is the unprecedented and unexpected issue of the COVID-19 pandemic that has almost paralyzed the worldwide transportation system. The direct effect that we can see is an increase in the cross-border transportation costs, where the final effect is borne by the individual users or the final customers. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we can see the affected countries had to focus on health materials and equipment purchases rather than foodstuffs and agricultural technology equipment. In Malaysia itself, we can see some agro-food industry players express their views in which they feel that now too many incentives and subsidies are channeling to the people livelihood assistance individually instead of channeling aid to ensure food production industries such as livestock and plantation are competitive enough. A decade of action. For us in IYC or International Youth Center, the goal of creating a better future cannot be only in narrative form. That is why we are constantly trying various initiatives that can proactively drive toward a better future, at least for the IYC citizens themselves. Since 2016, IYC has been working on an urban farming project, which started on our rooftop of the IYC building to ensure that our 50 staff, mostly with the salaries below the urban poverty level, can survive by owning their own crops. Now, after more than 4 years of this effort, we are developing this project using various methods such as fertigation, aquaponic, and hydroponic. And our land of area, about 4 acres in the center of city of Kuala Lumpur now, is now filled with various types of crops, including our border fences, which are also planted with climbing plants that have market value and daily food use. In 2021, now we are expanding our urban farming project to several other premises, including most youth institution and low-cost housing areas. And all this effort are using our own staff's expertise who are well trained since 2016, and they are now able to transfer their interests and expertise to others. I am sharing our small IYC practices here is to prove that the effort in shaping a new narrative of agriculture are not impossible. I am confident that if young people are being approached and guided positively, they will be able to be the agent of change for our better tomorrow. Localizing the SDGs. In line the focus of a decade of action to materialize the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, IYC is committed to becoming an institution that can be a good example for the youth generation to strive for a better future. We choose to adopt a model that can be learned and practiced immediately in daily life, especially the urban youth. Among them are utilizing rainwater resources through the rainwater harvesting system, to use a new solar energy, recycling practice, and as well as utilizing the circular economy, especially through efficient domestic waste management. The most important thing is the need to create a passionate and proactive youth group to save the earth, and not just to meet personal nutritional needs. I believe the theme of International Youth Dialogue 2021 or IYD 2021 this year is timely to empower positive food system transformation. Once again, I wish all of you happy International Youth Day, and I'm looking forward to listen to the exciting discussion in this event. Congratulations again, Ms. Sharifa Noriza and her organizing committee for organizing this youth-led initiative, and I welcome you after this. By the end of this pandemic, God will, maybe next year, I welcome you to come to our center and let's have a physical discussion. So thank you for your time, and I wish you good luck. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much to Ms. Sharifah for the warm welcoming speech and also Dr. Maliki for the inspiring remarks for the participants. And I'm sure the participants are eager to dive deeper into the event to explore the initiative on transforming food systems. Without any delay, I will pass the floor to my colleague to moderate the next session. The session is yours, Ms. Sharifah.
Okay, thank you, Daya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to all participants for today's event. From all Asia Pacific countries, I am Nur Shahira, your moderator for today. We will now continue our event with the most exciting session, I presume, the chit-chat session that will be conveyed by the youth leaders from diverse regions, followed by open discussion on given topics, which will be explained later. I hope everyone will stay until the end of our session today. Okay, without delay, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Munir from Philippines, a co-founder of Kids Who Farm, to briefly present on his project. But before that, we'll present to you a short video on the project that he organized with his daughter.
Assalamualaikum. I am Rana Pihina, 11 years old from Vega City, Philippines. I am the founder of Kids Who Farm. Let's learn how to grow our food. It's a basic life skill. Our food does not come from a box. It is produced by our farmers, our food producers. However, our farmers aren't getting any younger. The average age of a Filipino farmer is 59 years old. The future of food security depends on the participation of the youth in agriculture and farming. This is why my father and I co-founded Kids Who Farm, an advocacy initiative that aims to reverse the persistent trend of aging Filipino farmers by educating the youth in food and farming. Our mission is to inspire future farmers. As young as we are, we can be a source of inspiration to our fellow young people. And how to engage young people in agriculture? Let's make farming fun and easy. Having fun is an important aspect in learning. Muchas gracias. Maraming salamat po.
Having a work experience in agriculture, in environmental conservation, I have already observed that I guess one of the pressing challenges of our food security is the aging Filipino farmers.
Okay, so Raina, when did Kids Who Farm start? Can you tell us how it started?
It started to February 26, 2019. And how it started with a single idea to replenish my school's garden. It was really deserted. The plants were dead already, and there was like no one who was watching over it.
I realized that even as a small child can actually propose solutions to the pressing problems of our society, and one of which is food security. So I was encouraged to create something out of the work that I do, sort of advocacy, and that's why Raina and I brainstormed about the name Kids Who Farm. I was inspired to pursue Kids Who Farm together with her because I saw that everyone has a role to play in the solution to our problems, and even as a young kid, as a 9-year-old kid can propose a solution, then I guess everyone can be a part of the bigger answer to these problems. When we started, basically we just want to, we're passionate about teaching kids about food and farming. And we organize activities based on funded by our own resources. And later on, it really grew. And, we have other organizations collaborating with us.
So in the 2 years since Kids Who Farm started, what are the most memorable experiences?
Eating food. Since Kids So Far is mainly about appreciating the value of food, well, that's my favorite part of Kids So Far, food.
So from being like a small organization, 2 years after, we're able to really expand and create more impacts. That's the important part of it. So, and part of the impact is really like in Zamboanga, establishing localized food security solutions. Kids of Farm's vision really is about reversing the persistent trend of aging Filipino farmers by building the expertise of young people in food and farming. So as Ryan mentioned, we should make farming fun and easy. That's the tagline. So from a mind of a kid, in order for you to inspire future farmers, it should be fun and easy. So that's why when we created our programs, it is along that kind of mindset.
So as a young person, what do you want to see in Zamboanga or maybe in the Philippines in the future?
I want to see a poverty-free future without any food shortages. I also want to see it without COVID-19. Because of COVID-19, there would be food shortages since poverty and COVID-19 are causing us problems. So now I encourage you to start your own garden.
For Zamboanga City, I guess there's a bigger opportunity to really make Zamboanga City food secure. At present, we're 40% self-sufficient in terms of vegetables. And as a city which is identified as the third largest city in the Philippines in terms of land area, it's very ironic that we're not producing enough food for the people and we import 60% of our food as far as Baguio. So I guess the main question that we should be asking ourselves is that, are we really close to our source of food? And because of the pandemic, it really shows you the cracks, the ills of the food system that we have.
Now, as a youth, what is your message now to your fellow youth?
Well, my message for the youth is to appreciate the food that's on their plate. Because now or then or later, there might be no food that will come. Especially that we're getting food shortages lately. I encourage you to appreciate the food on your plate and enjoy it.
In the youth lies the future of food security, and I guess that's why we're here. That's I guess why we're doing the work that we do, because we see this as a step into that direction of molding young minds, inspiring future farmers, and hopefully build a future where part of our building the life skill of kids, of every person, is about learning how to grow their food. And because that's, I guess, the disconnection now. We as parents, we tend to teach our kids to save food, to eat all the food on the plate, diba? Appreciate food, as mentioned by Ryan. But we never actually teach our kids about growing food, because we thought that it's the farmers' jobs, that we can always buy food in the supermarket, in the palengke. But in a future where pandemic, where climate change will be the new normal, I guess it's very important for everyone to learn how to grow their own food. So we should start teaching it to our kids.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moni, for the inspiring video. Apologize from the organizer for the sound trouble. Okay, as you can see from the playback, the project is indeed inspiring. Okay, before I proceed to the next speaker, all participants are welcome to share your reflection or insight in the chat box, and I'll address them accordingly. Okay, our second speaker for tonight is a climate activist from Fiji, Mr. Ernest Gibson, who will share his experience on the initiative of him to counter the issue of climate change that occurs within the Pacific region. The floor is yours.
Sure, thanks so much for the kind introduction. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. And thanks very much for the invitation. I'm very, very glad to be here. So Bulavanaka, everybody. My name is Ernest Gibson, and I'm based here in Suva, Fiji. So I apologize in advance if I sound a little bit croaky. It's currently the sort of very early hours of the morning here, but I'll try my hardest to be as lively as possible. So I work for the World Health Organization in risk communication and community engagement, specifically around disaster and emergency response. So looking at how can we ensure that populations across the Pacific region have the opportunity to have access to timely and safe information to be able to make good decisions about their health. And largely we work within sort of disaster and emergency responses. But I also sit on the UN Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change. And I think that that's kind of where my intervention today will take us. It's kind of the merger of these two really important things. So we're talking about climate and environmental action, but also looking at some of the politics behind why people make decisions, especially when it comes to the health sector and when we're looking at food and food availability and sustainability. So I think really when we think about, I tried to break down some of the things that we were talking about, that we'll be talking about this evening, and really highlighting what the three things are, looking at what does it mean to have safe food, what does it mean to have sustainable access, and what does it mean to ensure that the food that we have safe and sustainable access to is also something that's good for our health. And really it's around ensuring that there's this safe and equitable access to food resources. It's around ensuring that there's a continuous supply, but also that the supply that we're leaning on isn't depletive or extractive of environmental resources. And then the third one is ensuring that the quality of the food that we have access to is something that serves as nourishment for communities. And I mean, that's kind of a textbook way of looking at these three things, but that in and of itself, I don't think is enough just to kind of say that this is what we want. We need to analyze some of the underlying factors and preconditions that act as enabling environments to ensure that these desires that we have around sustainable food systems become a reality. And there are two particular factors and preconditions that I'd like to focus on this evening. And one of them is really around this idea of politicizing sustainable food or politicizing sustainable food systems. And then the second one is something that was mentioned earlier, really around preparedness to disasters and shocks for communities and systems. So maybe I'll start with that one because it's one that probably has a lot more examples for the Pacific. So many of you know the Pacific, as a result of the exacerbating climate crisis, we face a lot more cyclones and tropical disasters. And so one thing that really does need to be implemented across the board is a way to ensure that in the wake of these disasters, which we know are going to continue to happen, which we know are going to get worse over time, and we know are going to happen a lot more frequently as a result of the way in which we're going in terms of climate action, we need to ensure that communities are equipped with opportunities to be able to ensure that they can protect their livestock during this time. So they not only have access to food in the days and weeks in the immediate response to the crisis, but also that their livelihoods can continue well and beyond the response time and during the recovery phase. And that's something that we've seen is a significant gap that we've seen across the Pacific. That in the wake of a natural disaster, communities that already are kind of in some of the more rural areas and already kind of doubly impacted by levels of marginalization now have to deal with this extra weight of ensuring that they have access to healthy food and safe livelihoods afterwards. So one way that we can do that is investing in the infrastructure, and that's something that's been done, for the better part of the last decade across a lot of the developing world. But that in of itself is not enough. Just investing in infrastructure is kind of like building roads, but not giving people the opportunity or the tools to use those roads. And so, alongside investing in agricultural infrastructure that is kind of shock resistant, we need to ensure that communities have access to training so that they can actually use the tool that's been provided to them. How do we ensure that we're continuing training and that training doesn't happen once? We have to do it over several different time periods to ensure that we're continually updating the training that we're providing to communities. And then also a really key component to ensuring that communities have access to safe livelihoods in the wake of a disaster or a shock is having disaster plans that are in place that target the most vulnerable. We know that there are parts of the countries that we all come from that have some extra disadvantages. And so how do we pre-plan? How do we presuppose some of these issues that we know already exist that are underlying, and then find ways of ensuring that we can retrofit some of our response plans to then better service people in a targeted way. So I think for me, one of the clear ones when we're looking at how do we ensure that communities have an opportunity to be disaster resistant or shock resistant, really it's important to, one, build the infrastructure to ensure that they're ready for it, but also ensure that there's training in place that ensures that they can be part of the infrastructural development. And so it's not just a foreign concept that's introduced post-disaster or something along those lines. And then ensuring that we're thinking about what are some of the biggest trouble spots that could be found, and then retrofitting solutions in that regard. So that's the first point that I wanted to make. And I know I'm taking up a significant amount of time, and I apologize, but I think it's really important to mention the second one about this politicization of sustainable food. So I think we're seeing it in the climate crisis. We're seeing it in some of the social issues that we're facing in terms of social discrimination in sort of various aspects of the globe. But it's this idea that the issue is removed from health. And so I'll give you a really quick example. When some of the Pacific Island countries first entered into trade agreements with the World Trade Organization and other multilateral trade treaties, they were then forced to open their markets to allow the sale of particularly cheap, relatively lowly taxed goods coming into the country. So it meant that there was great food that was available locally, but there was also extremely cheap food that wasn't particularly good that was being made accessible in the country. So unfortunately, when you come to a situation where people are looking at food and there is economic decline in a country, people will choose the cheaper option. So you had things like turkey tails and mutton flaps that were being sold en masse in Pacific Island countries, really ensuring that diabetes rates, that hypertensive rates were skyrocketing. And this is this wasn't as a result of some health decision that was made by health authorities and experts. This was an economic decision. And so the way that we have decisions that are being taken away from health authorities and being made by people that don't necessarily have the authority to make such a technical decision really has an enormous impact on the health and livelihoods of communities. So how do we ensure that? How do we change that? I think that's still that question is still up in the air. But I think one really important one is being able to recognize that at the end of the day, if we're making decisions about people need to be the center of that decision-making process. What will the implications of this particular policy decision be on individuals and communities' lives? Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of these decisions are being made with economics at the center. So, I mean, a large reason that we're in the situation we are in terms of the climate crisis and the environmental crises that we're facing is because profit is being prioritized over people. And it's really important that we start to think about people as the center of our decision-making processes, individuals and communities' lives, and how do we ensure that the policies that we implement and the activities that we then follow through are in place to ensure that people's lives are being bettered. Because there are still a significant number of people that are living in extremely unfavorable conditions. And really it's a matter of taking a step back from some of the siloed work that may be taking place and understanding how do we alter the system that we currently have to ensure that people's lives are being improved. Yeah, I think those are the two really key points that I wanted to make. And apologies again for speaking a lot, but thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ernest, for your sharing. I hope everyone will jot down the point that he got to us just now and come up with other initiatives as well. counter the issue. Okay. I can see Mr. Munir is here now. Okay, Mr. Munir. Just now we lost you, and now you are back. Welcome back to the session. Okay. Based on the playback shown to just now, the video is indeed inspiring. So I have a question for Mr. Munir. Is still there, Mr. Munir?
Yes, I am here. Thank you
Okay.
so much for. Hello, everyone. Good
Okay.
evening.
I have a question for you. With the unprecedented future due to COVID-19 and worrying climate issue, how do you see this kind of meaningful exposure and child empowerment on food security is important for our future generation? What are your future plans for this project? And probably you have some advice to share for young people, especially to begin with this kind of initiative, like what your daughter and you did. Please.
Yes, thank you so much for that. First and foremost, I would like to greet everyone. Good evening. Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for inviting us to be a part of this prestigious event. And to answer the question, I guess when we started Kids Who Farm, our top of mind is that we want to create a platform for young people to participate meaningfully in local food security solutions. And of course, trying to address the issue of aging farmers and how we can build the expertise of young people in the aspect of food and farming. And with COVID-19, we realized that there are many cracks and ills in our globalized food systems, and that a lot of problems, especially in the area of food security and sustainability, can be tackled locally. And that a sustainable food system we have seen is local, and how we can create more localized food security solutions. I guess that's where the important role of young people comes in. And that is the example we have seen in our city when COVID-19, when the pandemic hit the Philippines and when all these lockdowns were implemented. There's the disconnection, or there's a logistical challenge for us to transport food from one place to another, and people lost their jobs. And we have seen that indeed, if we can only mobilize young people to work for the community and help build local food systems, as what we called it, like community gardens, tackling utilizing empty spaces, empowering households to grow their own food, we can actually address that logistical challenge of food security and provide access to food for the community. And that is something that we want to really build on and create a kind of system. We call it the hyper local food network, where we can create this network of local food production systems in our city to address food self-sufficiency, and also empower young people to participate in the movement of localizing food security solutions. And I realized also that since we started Kids Who Farm, this is actually an idea of my daughter, as mentioned by her in the video. And I realized that if these young people can actually propose solutions to our problem, I guess we should invest in their ideas. We should invest in their enthusiasm to propose these kind of solutions. And as a parent, I also realized that normally here in the Philippines, we teach our kids, as a parent, we teach our kids to eat the right food. We teach our kids to finish all the food on the plate. But we actually never teach the kids how to grow the food. And that's the kind of disconnection that we have seen, because better appreciation of the value of food really starts in understanding how it's being produced. So it's kind of building a life skill. Growing our food is kind of a life skill that I also want to pass on to my children and to other children. And also, down the line, create a future where everyone knows how to grow their own food and try to democratize food production and help in empowering more communities to secure their own food, at the same time secure their own future. So what we're seeing now is a movement here in the Philippines that a lot of young organizations, youth organizations, even student councils and our local what we call youth councils, no, we call it SKs or Sangguniang Kabataan, are proactively involved in the food security solutions. So, and I guess this is not an overnight, we cannot solve the problem overnight, but I want to really take on the example of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, who once became a farmer. He's an agriculture value chain champion in our country. Even before the cooperative movement, he was able to establish a cooperative. He said that the youth is the hope of the future. And we all know that the future of food and food security really depends on the anticipated participation of young people in food and farming. And I guess they're doing it now. We're starting it now, trying to build the pathway for a food secure future by being proactive in the solution. So, and Kids Who Farm is very fortunate also to collaborate with a lot of organizations from the government and the private sector to advance this advocacy initiative. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Munir, for your sharing. I really love the initiative that you and your daughter done. I hope everyone who listen and watch on the video will get inspired and begin their small garden probably with their children as well. Okay, next, without delaying any time, I would like to pass the floor to our third speaker, Ms. Jessica Vega from Mexico, to deliver sharing.
I want to say first, thank you for this invitation, for joining us this important dialogue. My name is Jessica Vega. I am from Mexico. I am Mixteco indigenous people. Now I am current co-chair of the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus, and also I am part of the network of the Champions Food Systems. Like my role is to try to empower more voices for indigenous people in the global context. Yeah, and thank you for inviting me for joining us this dialogue. In my position, like the network for the Champions Food System, the one thing for said when starting all the process, I say it is sometimes difficult for indigenous people try to participate, involved in the process for take decisions, because in the global context have several regions of the social culture for the indigenous communities. But one barrier is the language, because I run in the global context. Not all the people have access for education, for try to learn other language, like the English, for example. English is the one barrier sometimes in the global context. I want to say that because my English is bad, but the problem is not my English for myself. The problem is that sometimes the global mechanisms like the UN system don't open spaces for other different contexts, and then don't have really good inclusive discussions, and the other people take action in these agendas, and then in this situation, it's really difficult for the people try to change the mechanisms for the rise in the communities and national levels. This situation, for example, in the past, when they try to explain these situations, the people say, why you only focus on the language? And then my answer is, why no? Because, for example, in my national country, have around the 300 language different in indigenous communities. But the situation is the farmers, the fisheries, the people like produce food for all the cities live in community levels. Told mother language, don't speak in English, but how can try to they can participate and involve in this process is really difficult. And also other barriers have it, because the gender equality is not the same. Not all the women have access at the land. Also, the women have a lot of barriers if they can participate in mechanism decisions. Because even when in the communities have opportunity to try to work in the farmers, they can, but they no have rights for try to be part of this land. Other thing for gender equality is the people say the only way is the marriage for access to the land or access to the tech resources, and then put a lot of limits if you are a woman. And think that is the reason for really important to try to raise more voices in the communities level and try to powerful more the participation for the woman people. I don't know, but in my participation in the press summit 1 week ago, I feel a little frustration, and not for my participation or for the participation for the youth people or the indigenous people delegations. My frustration is if we told in this level about this situation, but the real action is not only the politicals. I needed fundings. We needed more support. We needed try to get money at the communities level for the productions, but also try to talk about the rights for the wars, or right for security health, or right for educations. Because talk about the food system is also told the identity, the culture. The transforming food system is transforming the rights. And then have a little months for to go at the summit in September. But this current pandemic is the one big advice. If we not take action about the healthy, the eat food really good, and then the body, and then all the vitamins, all the good perspective for the cells, I think that is the one problem. Have one big pandemic, but I know this is not the only one, because already the humans have a lot of problems, but still don't respect the Mother Earth. And then this, the big problem is that, because already life, the climate change. I am happy for listen the two last participation talk about the which is the situation in the communities level, but also which is the situation for the climate change. I am happy for all the people stay join us also this event, because needed try to reply the message is the action for the youth, but also for the future generations. You said thank you for inviting me, and thank you for work together for try to change, the means for try to change the life. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jessica, for your sharing. I hope everything will goes well soon or in future. Okay, thank you so much for the first round. And thank you so much for the three speakers that have been spoken on, I think, many issues, right? So especially Mr. Ernest and Ms. Jessica for different time zone, like a huge gap. First minute for Mr. Ernest and early morning for Ms. Jessica. Thank you so much. I hope I'll be seeing you in future. Okay, with that being said, I shall pass the floor to my partner, Miss Rubina, for rolling the second round.
Thank you. Am I audible? Is my sound clear? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Saria. I'm Rubina Adhikari, the regional facilitator of Children and Youth Music Group, and I'm glad to be part of this. So we had already 3 amazing speakers, and now moving on to round 2 of today's event. Our 4th speaker is Ms. Teresa Caragon. She is the European Regional Youth Focal Point for the UN Major Group for Children and Youth in support of UN Food Systems Summit 2021. During the pandemic, she co-founded a local farmers market to support smallholders farmers, and Teresa also awarded the Climate Ambassador Outstanding Achievement Award 2020 from the Irish government for her contribution to climate action. She believes in the value of intergenerational learning, youth engagement for a better future. So, Teresa, we all want to know, can you share with us your role and participation in the Youth Focus Group for the UN System Summit? Why do you think it is important to engage young people in understanding food systems and the importance of education in this matter? The floor is all yours.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me. It's really inspiring listening to all the different initiatives and everyone's ideas around the thinking safe and sustainable and healthy food. But to give an overview of the initiatives that are happening in Europe, on a macro level, we have the Common Agricultural Policy, is CAP as it's known, and that is a European-wide agricultural policy. And currently young farmers and youth activists are campaigning for that to be greener and more sustainable, which we need, as pointed out by everyone, for all the many different reasons for creating a sustainable food system. And on a micro level, regenerative farming is a large one that is coming up on mainly smaller farms, because from my experience speaking to farmers, it seems to be the smaller farmers that are making the changes. It's starting on a more local level, which is a very interesting point, that people are using their own initiative instead of using policy or government. As pointed out, I believe strongly in intergenerational farming. I feel that as youth, we have as much to learn from people with a lot of experience as they have to learn from us. And in Europe, or the European Council of Young Farmers, CEJA, that is a huge point for them. Intergenerational farming and the importance of the next generation of farmers, so supporting them from inheritance, risk, and encouraging them to diversify. And another initiative that is coming up is the farm to fork. So it's the concept of local food. So you're eating what's in season, what's in your local area, and cutting out the transportation and the huge air miles, which is a large contributor to climate change. And also urban farming, which I think is amazing, as other speakers have already shown, the different types of urban farming and rooftop gardening, and no matter how big or small your space is, you can produce some amount of food, even if it's the tiniest bit at certain seasons, or you can use an entire roof, which is amazing, and produce food all year round. And this is a huge one. It is only started recently in Ireland. There's 2 rooftop gardens, but it's also a large initiative in France, especially in Paris. They have begun putting beehives on the top of buildings to increase biodiversity, and all these amazing small initiatives. But if every single city in Europe or in the world did that, we'd be a lot better off. And just to finish on what I want to say from a European perspective, but also from a global perspective, as a European regional focal point, and my interaction and participation in the Food System Summit, I was a part of the youth consultation, and this we had over, I think, 3,000 young people put in their recommendations and their priorities for the Food System Summit. And the first youth priority that came out was resilient food systems. Second was sustainable consumption, and the third was safe and nutritious food for all. And judging by that and judging by the initiatives, we have a long way to go, but we can get there if we stick to the right path. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. Your new initiatives sound truly amazing, and true, we all think that urban farming could be a game changer in today's time. It's terrific to hear whatever you're doing, and we all hope that you continue doing it. Now, moving on to our next speaker, we have Ms. Yang Fuzu. She is currently pursuing her master's degree in food technology and nutrition in Lund, Sweden. She worked in a liquid food machinery engineering company before her further study. It is her first time stepping into the food engineering field. She wants to minimize the regional inequality in public health while improving the overall quality of life is the ultimate goal. So, Ms. Yang, can you share with us, with the participants, about the role of food nutrition and experts in the food ecosystem and how it helps to combat food crisis in the future? And we'll also like to hear about food engineering, because that sounds interesting. Please go ahead.
Thank you for all the inspiring sharing, introduction, and questions. I think as a food technologist, I believe our role in the community is to make sure food products are produced safely, legally, and to the quality claimed, also tasty and nutritional. At the same time, being a nutritionist, we help individuals and groups make the right choices about what they eat. We deliver scientific evidence-based nutritional advice in a variety of ways to improve health and well-being and to promote a healthy diet and lifestyle. Now I'm looking into the relationship between food and super microguides in our body. You may wonder what these things are and why they are important. Super microguides are like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea. They are more than half of our human cells. The greatest number of this microlife is in our gut, and everyone has their own unique combination. So what does it mean? It means what you eat affects you more than you think. Those microguides play an important role in digestion, regulating the immune system, protecting against disease, and producing vital vitamins. Since they help to metabolize the food we eat, a diet with burgers or a bowl of salad will have different effects on both the risk of obesity and the type of microguides that grow in our gut. How do you know it is due to a bad mix of bacteria metabolizing the food we eat in such a way, you might ask? An experiment was performed by using germ-free mice. They were born in the most sanitized world ever. The bacteria from thin and fat human poop were transplanted to the mice and made them thinner or fatter depending on which microguides it got. The food choices you make today can not only help support a healthy you now, but also in the future, from micro to macro, from individual to environment. As nowadays, people are living a busy life and want to have more casual time, commercially prepared convenience food is introduced to our daily life. It is a quick and easy way to eat and less expensive than fresh foods. Some processed food might have poor nutritional value, but it is also a tool to support elderly and other people's dietary habits in some way. Also, the trend of convenience food products tend to become healthier and can be a choice for work-life balance. However, always read the full labels from head to bottom when grocery shopping for your healthy foods. Also, remember, when checking the expiration date on the packaging, best before, good after. Make good use of your sense and trust them. They are designed more delicately than any machines. In addition, balance is the key. Our wise ancestors told us Chinese medicine and food are of the same origin. Therefore, even if some things only be used as a diet, too much can be toxic, like high fat, high sugar, or high sodium diets. We eat food, not nutrients. Food has much more potential than just providing sustenance. Food brings people together. It's a cure and prevention for many health problems. It makes us happy, makes us sad. Preparing your own meals using local, in-season, and sustainably produced food with proper cooking at home can be fun and it tastes fresh and delicious. Above all, you know what you eat. You might also find various nutrition information on social media. Always check if its source is reliable and take it as a reference. After all, everyone is unique and suitable for different diets. Find your own plate and fill it up with rainbow foods. Healthy diet and exercise is a way of life that lasts through your life. Thank you for having me today. It's a great honor to share my experience with you. Everyone counts. We can make a better world when we are all together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Yang. Yes, that's very true. We are what we eat, and balance is very important, like you said. We all agree nutritionists and food engineering plays a significant role in food production to achieve a high quality. And it equally manages to track food waste, nutrition, and every other detail. Thank you once again. Now, moving on towards our final speaker of the night is Mr. Oluwatosin Ogunsola. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Templars Agri-Consults Limited Nigeria, Global Landscape Forum Social Media Ambassador. Oluwatosin is on a mission to enhance food security, ensure zero hunger, and eliminate food waste. Poverty and inequality can have cascading negative effects on people. Poor finance means poor food. Poor food means poor health, and poor health means expensive medicine. So can you share with us your local initiatives related to food systems, and what is your perspectives in regard to food security, food loss, and food waste management in relation to poverty, hunger, problems, and preserving the environment? The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Rubina, for having me on the engagement today. Yeah, it's afternoon here, so good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're joining in from. And my name is Oluwatosin. So today I would just like to highlight a few points. Okay, I'm good. I would like to highlight a few points and then I would expatiate a little bit on it. Yes, other speakers have actually successfully given so much of the points that are related to what we have also here in Africa. But then I would just like to shed more on the scientific part of what I want to share is just what Ms. Yang has already described here today. So for me, really, we've described food, water, and energy as key resource for human existence. So if food is the central idea for human existence, then in talking about food system and in engaging with food with respect to the environment, we should then see food as medicine for which human life depends on. If it is then seen as that, then our behavioral pattern, our behavioral activity towards food should be in sync, should change from what it is now to what it should be. Because if you want to take your mind back to what we have, basically, I will speak references from what we have in Africa. In Africa, you have food is more like central to the culture and to the system of living for everyone. So in that case, when you want to picture what you want to eat and how you eat it, how you prepare your diet, how you go about it, you see that food it's what brings everyone together, and it's seen as a vital component of what makes up the human. So in that light, but recently you have so many differences in the terms of now you have an increase in the way people fall sick. you have increase in different ailment that goes around, is a factor into what we are eating. Because what we are eating these days, everybody doesn't have time. Many youth have run out from the local environment. There's a rural-urban migration and a whole lot of other issues with crisis and everything. So now it is left to us to be able to just pick anything we find around, which is not also, sorry, I guess my network is unstable, so I'll just leave it for audio. So in that case, we are not eating what is right for us. And that is why you find out that the environment itself has a change on what we produce and how we eat it. If you bring in seeds and you bring in varieties from different other agroecological zones, and you grow it in your own soil that is well adapted to that your own agroecological zone, then how do you now want that other introduced variety to pick up and still give you the same taste that you were used to when you were growing up now, and then your body system should respond to it the same way it should? No, it's not going to happen. It's going to respond to it differently. And that's why you find out that you have different strains, different mutations in the way we are growing. And these mutations are also passed on to the next generation, which is something that really we should look into. So in that light, I would also want to picture from what the last speaker said, Madam Teresa. She was talking about intergenerational farming, which is key, because really when you want to look at the process of growing crops and then raising it successfully, that's sustainable access to food. Because if you have everyone growing what they eat, they have access to it, it is accessible, you can eat it fresh, it's healthy, it's safe. So on the long run, you are eating your food as your medicine, daily medicine. And then you would have little need for junks around and little need for low quality food, which is what should be preached and should be passed around. But then if you have so many other things that are restricting all of this, then that is why we have so many issues coming out from here. Now we understand the fact that the food system is broken, but now a lot of conversation and dialogue, even here in Africa, where we've been able to run successive African food system dialogues, and then we'll be able to see a whole lot of things coming out from all the action tracks, yeah, to be able to bring to bear that food itself, with respect to food loss, food waste, is a key resource for we humans in our existence with the nature. And so if you want to pick food from that angle, food is a key resource for our sustainable livelihood here on Earth. And so when we are talking about relationship with Earth itself, then if we see and value food in the way it should be, then what Mr. Monir was talking about, we engaging kids in how our food is being grown, would be easy for us to be able to communicate it, because this is what we are also engaging in. So the kids see us as their hero, and they also want to engage in what we are engaged in. Then also Mr. Ernest was talking about sustainable access to this food. Likewise, respected Dr. Maliki was talking about the project on the rooftop. That's more like sustainable farming in the city. Even if you can't grow your crop in the rural settings as expressed by Madam Jessica, but then you can also grow it in the city. You can have your hydroponic system within a confined space in your home, or you can do a lot of things. So these are some of the introductions that we are also pushing within the African system. So it's going to be an holistic approach to it, and that is the only way it can work in respecting equality on diversity, inclusion of rights, and that of the indigenous people. All of these things is a system, and it must be synced together for us to have sustainable access to food and then have the shared existence of human with nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olatosin, for sharing your initiatives and perspectives with us. It is very inspiring. We all need to respect our food, and it's a reason, like you said. It is thrilling to see youths working diversely from different parts of the country for the same mission. Since now we are done with the speaker session, I'm now giving the floor to Ms. Sarifa to convene the next round.
Yes, thank you so much, Rubina, for your moderating, and also the other moderators just now, Mr. Daniel, and also Miss Shahira, yeah, and all the speakers who are joining us today, despite of the different time zone. And I believe they also have their own activities after this. But before we go for the breakout session, we will have a very quick photo session with our dear speakers coming today. And I hope all participants can switch on your camera, and my colleague Balkis will snap a very beautiful photo of all of us. Okay, maybe I will take like 5 seconds for you guys to open your switch on your camera.
Okay.
Maybe some of us
ready,
have the
guys?
background, some of us not. It's okay. So Balkis, if you're ready, you can take the mic and you can on, and I will be ready to.
Okay, are you ready, guys? Have a smile. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Okay, thank you so much, Ernest, to Jessica, Heli, Chiesa, Brother Ogunsola, and Oluwatusin Ogunsola, and also, did I miss anyone? One more?
Teresa.
Yes, yeah. Sorry if I miss your name. And also, we actually have our very special guest today. I hope you bear with us until the end, because we have representative from UN Habitat representing the Asia Pacific Interagency Network on Youth. So she will be delivering the way forward remarks after this at the end of the session. Okay, I believe just now the organizing committee already remind you to rename your name, Zoom name. Actually, I plan to have like short break for everyone, but due to the we already behind time actually due to the very interesting discussion. Okay, I will share with you some housekeeping reminder. Please rename your Zoom name so that we can move you to the right room after this, and please be back at the main session, because we will take around 55 minutes for the discussion after this, and no worries, we will remind you in the chat box after this, and I hope that you will be very participative and also enjoy the session, because it's very important outcome that we want from you guys from this session. Apologize for the technical issues just now. That I think you can take your, drink some waters and then be ready for the next session. And for those who are being observers, or maybe our speakers want to stay, you are welcome. And we will move you to the breakout session in a while. Okay. The participants, we will wait for a few minutes for the other participants from group 2 to finish their discussion. You can have a short break for a while, and we will be back in a few minutes, maybe 2-3 minutes. I hope everyone enjoyed your discussion just now. And maybe facilitator for group 1, you can also put in the chat box for your participants to fill up the takeaway lesson for group 1 while waiting for the other participants. For your information, the Google slide link will be open for 3 hours from now. So we are happy to know your feedback for your group discussion accordingly to your group discussion, right? Okay, I think everyone already come back to the main session. I believe everyone is here. All good. Can you share some response, maybe a reaction? I'm happy that you guys still here. And yeah, I can see thumbs up. Yeah, I hope that you guys like having a very fruitful discussion, fruitful exchange with dear facilitators from Group 1, Clarence, and also Jacqueline, and facilitators from Group 2, Brother Sophia, who is now in California, USA, but his origin is from Cambodia and supporting this Asia Pacific region. And also our sister Wakana, thank you so much for facilitating this session. Okay, before we move on to the next agenda, I will be moderating for the next agenda. I think I will share. Okay, sorry. I will give your your group a chance to report back whatever outcomes from the session just now, and for that maybe you can volunteer. Maybe Group 1, you have your volunteer ready, or maybe your facilitator want to report back.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Sharifa. So me and Jacqueline, so we have a very productive discussion on food waste. So our topic is about food waste and food loss management and its connection to the sustainable food system. So yeah, we have a very productive discussion on those three questions that we have talked about. And yeah, so I'm not gonna be reporting the session. So I'm calling our colleague, Jed, to report. Yeah, to report. Yeah, the floor is yours, Jed. Thanks.
Okay, please welcome Group 1 representative. Please show some vibes in direction.
Hello, good evening or good morning to good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jed and I'm from the Philippines and I'm representing the Group 1 discussion. So we have tackled a different kind of set of questions and actually there's three questions. First, what are the challenges that you face in your community country related to food waste, food loss? And second was what are expectations from stakeholders to solve problems? And the third is think about the next step on food system transformation in Asia Pacific region. And the first question is, what are the challenges that you face in your community, country related? So actually the discussion the group one discussion was very productive, but we've come to this answer that we have to treat waste as a raw material and use it as innovatively and change the perspective about food waste, because food waste is a behavioral problem. So uh, the group um, tackle that, and we are in unity that the awareness is very important. The consumers awareness is very important in our time today. And the question number two is what are your expectations from stakeholders to solve the problem? So we have a lot of different kinds of opinions and suggestions and strong um, solutions, and we've tackled about um, in the business sectors, like in the restaurants, you must have to go back for leftover foods for the restaurants and businesses, and the government policy. Donation of raw materials, government should have food recovery center and process and proper distribution. Next is the proper collaboration of the NGOs and the LGUs or the government. It is very important to have that kind of proper implementation in applications. And next is to improve the food system and food chain, even in connecting rural areas. And the last, not last, the corporation needs to be made aware and engage all stakeholders and bring all in one platform. And the last for the question number two is to have that kind of zero waste movement that is effective to um, um, all walks of life. So for the question number three, the next steps of food system transformation in Asia Pacific region. So as a young people in our generation today, we are very exposed to social media and other relevant information that we are seeing in internet. So um, the group um, uh, uh, in unity to use social media as a platform to raise an awareness to other young people, or in a young people, not just in young people, but every people um, must be, must be aware. Second is to have that unified methods to address the issue, and youth are the front line to solve the problem, empower the young. As I've mentioned, the young people are in the front line because we are exposed to information, relevant information, and also the facts that we have to use this, and we have to be responsible to use this to raise an awareness. Third is to become local. So actually, this is a very good point when it comes to thinking about the steps on food system transformation, especially here in Asia Pacific region. We have to embrace local, and yeah, we have to embrace local. That's all. And second, education about food waste and food loss, especially by the parents. I think the parents are also must have also involvement when it comes to transformation of our generation today, because they have seen the problems before and after of the impacts that they have done in the past. So I think they have a major involvement when it comes to transformation of our society, when it comes to climate change, climate crisis, and global warming, food loss, and food system. And last is um, to also raise an awareness campaign when it comes to food surplus and food waste, link to the two. So I hope you guys enjoy the our sharing group one. So that will be all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Jedidiah from, can I call you Jedidiah? Brother Jedidiah from Philippines.
Yes.
For your awesome sharing. I hope everyone also learning something new from the topic sustainable food waste management and food loss management. So we can share the outcome later on if you are interested. So we will email you later. Without further ado, I would like to invite the second group from discussion group 2. Could you share your interesting outcome?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Ikma from Malaysia. I'll be representing Group 2.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think we don't have enough time to discuss what we were discussing about. The topics are interesting. So our topic was about food security and health food consumption. And in a way, when we were discussing about our group, we kind of entered what Group 1 was discussing, which was food management, because we were informed that in some countries like Sweden and the US, where they have like a lot of food waste because the food is not distributed well enough. So instead of not having, when it comes to food security, we need to be able to provide food to everyone. But in the US, we have food wastage because we are not distributing it well enough. Right, so that's like for countries like in the US and in Sweden, developed countries. But in developing or underdeveloping countries, we have food shortage issue, and it's not that we're just not producing enough food, and then when we import those food, the price is very expensive. Okay, so that's the challenges when we face in terms of what's the challenges that some countries, some populations in the world, some produce way more food than they need and they might waste it. Some just cannot produce enough food. So that was for question 1, which is the challenges in regards to food production. Question 2 is expectation from the stakeholders whether it's government, youth, etc. So I guess for underproducing food, we need to make sure that food production is considered the best career to go to. So I don't know about everyone else from other countries, but in Malaysia, we no longer before this we were an agricultural nation, but then when modernization hits, we tend to not focus more on being food producers. We are more focusing on becoming doctors, lawyers, those big jobs. So I think we need to change our mindset so we have enough youth to be able to produce our own food. And then there's then we need to have some more transparency between policymakers so that they need to know that they need to know that we need to invest in producing food so that we can provide more sustainable food. And then when it comes to overproduction of food and food waste, when it comes to food wastage, I think one of the things that we can do is maybe have a discounted price for food when it's nearing the expiry date, so we don't sell it as the same price as fresh food. Maybe we could make a discount so that we can reduce food wastage, and at the same time people can purchase them. So that was question 2. And question 3, when it comes to food system transformation in the Asia Pacific, the main standout point was that we need to have like a collaboration between the Asia Pacific countries, where some countries can produce certain types of raw food that we need. Probably some countries can produce just tomatoes, some pineapples, and then we trade amongst ourselves. And then we probably have some countries where we serve as a port to export the food to other regions such as Europe or Africa. So I guess all in all, that's the main key points from group 2.
Thank you so much, Brother Iqmal from Malaysia, for sharing your outcomes of the discussion just now. Okay, without further ado, before we go to the next agenda, which is the way forward remarks by our honorable guest from the United Nations UN Habitat, which is Miss Hope Zimba. She will be sharing the way forward. But before that, can I have my colleagues to share the Mentimeter link in the chat box? I want to see overall comments on the session so far. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite our next speaker from UN Habitat, which is Miss Hope Zimba, who is a youth and inclusion expert. She will be representing the Asia Pacific Interagency Network on Youth, APINI, co-chairs. And without further ado, Miss Hope Zimba, actually she is with us since the beginning. So I hope we can hear something feedback from her and the further way forward. Please welcome Miss Hope.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, friends of youth and young champions for humanity. Greetings to you all from Montreal, Canada. I've been part of the session since it started, and I must say, like, as a young person myself, let me share that it was certainly exciting to have been part of this very important dialogue today, listening to all the ideas and initiatives that you have in the Asia Pacific and other countries. Everything that you're doing to get engaged to transform food systems, innovate, and provide solutions to malnutrition, hunger, and lack of access to food, even as we continue commemorating International Youth Day today. Thank you, Sharifa and Dr. Mohammed Malik, for extending this opportunity for me to speak on the way forward and connecting this with the UN Asia Pacific Interagency Network on Youth, and also including your very own contributions. Congratulations to the Asia Pacific Youth Caucus of MGCY, the International Youth Center, and Asia Youth Network on organizing this event. I think it's been a very wonderful and helpful dialogue for young people here. As we have heard through your collective voices, the crucial role young people play in the implementation of sustainable development goals and priority areas cannot be overemphasized. Despite the impact that COVID-19 has had on human health, the environment, and food systems, young people such as yourselves have shown resilience and creativity in mobilizing and tackling challenges on food systems. And as highlighted by UN DESA, food systems extend beyond the basic elements of getting food from our farms to the table. It also includes the processes and infrastructure involved in feeding a population, the social structures supported by them, and the negative consequences that could potentially be generated during these processes of producing food, such as air pollution and ocean pollution as well, desertification and inequality. It is therefore imperative that we create inclusive support mechanisms that ensure youth continue to amplify efforts collectively and individually to restore the planet and protect life, while integrating biodiversity in the transformation of food systems. And to this end, nothing for us without us should be at the core of decision-making about policies that affect young people. I believe that youth should be at the center and be prioritized in discussions that aim at transforming food systems, climate change, poverty reduction, and tackling unemployment. Young people should be seen as leaders of today and equipped to implement the Sustainable Development Goals for a better world. In this regard, the United Nations is committed to supporting young leaders and including them in decision-making processes. Young people, including indigenous youth, young women, youth with disabilities, should be enabled to occupy and inform decision-making spaces to help make more supportive policies about healthy food choices, create and innovate entrepreneurial initiatives that are aimed at increasing global education on healthiest food options. In addition to entrepreneurial projects, young people should also get engaged at community level in activities such as planting organic plants, community gardens, and food waste management support. To be able to do this, there's need to provide adequate capacity development with respect to the resiliency of food systems in our school curriculums. Educating students and young generations to improve their knowledge and abilities, as well as encourage long-term creativity, is crucial to transforming food systems. And as APNI, we are open to supporting youth-led communities of practice and knowledge-sharing platforms such as this one that MGCY has created to be able to learn from each other's experiences, to collaborate and to share best practices to improve food systems. And lastly, but not the least, youth engagement is key to transformation of food systems. Young people should be provided with platforms and leverage existing engagement mechanisms, such as social media, to amplify, highlight, and raise awareness on the crucial role that youths play in sustainable food production and distribution. I think, as someone had mentioned earlier, it's about time that young people change the perception that farming, agriculture is only an activity that other people or other generations should be involved in. Young people should take up that space and start creating that opportunity for themselves and getting involved in the production of food. And as APNI, we have been having dialogues with youth organizations to find ways of supporting and collaborating on programs, and we'll continue with such efforts. Thank you once more for being part of this important dialogue on transforming food systems. And we look forward to your continued passion and bringing your voices towards the 2021 UN Food Systems Summit that is happening next month. Thank you so much once more.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hope, for being with us today. And I hope everyone is inspired by the intervention and also some informative information by Ms. Hope, especially on how important for young people to be with us. to drive the change in the community, and how important for you to engage more in the country development, and also especially for the global goals. And I still waiting for the Mentimeter. Maybe my colleagues can share in the chat box, and also my colleagues also will share the feedback form link. So in the meantime, you can share your feedback regarding our program. Is it good? Is it something you learn all this while up to this session? And yes, I think our next speaker is ready. Dr. Roman Chukov is ready. I will hand over to the next speaker, our closing remarks speaker, Dr. Roman Chukov from Friends for Leadership, which is one of our partner for this program. And without further ado, my dear brother, Dr. Roman Chukov from Russia, maybe you can share your closing remarks. Please welcome.
Dear friends, thank you very much. It's a huge honor and pleasure to spend this Saturday with you. And I really liked all the ideas and conclusions which you did. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations to organizers. And of course, first of all, to Dr. Malik and Sharifa, my longtime partners already, who we met several years ago and keep communicating and collaborating very much efficiently. First of all, on scaling up the youth-led projects devoted to SDGs. And I really also want to thank Ms. Hope Zimba for her inputs, because with the UN Habitat, Friends for Leadership right now is in the process of signing an MOU to jointly collaborate on finding and promoting the youth-led solutions across the SDG 11, and hopefully those projects of yours, which are devoted to sustainable cities and communities, can be at some point a part of this portfolio of projects. And you can already start to showcase your project now. If you go to our website, friendsforleadership.org, or contact us via any other social media channel, you can share your project and we can help you in promoting and finding like-minded people who realize similar initiatives globally, as we are present now in more than 100 countries. So try and always have something very applicable in mind. I believe this is very much important to make sure that all your actions, your endeavors, your thoughts and ideas come to realization, come to specific things. And this is where the success is. And thank you again for your hard work, for your interesting and inspiring stories and ideas. And happy International Youth Day, everyone. I hope that we will have peaceful sky, and apart from the old-fashioned world when people used weapons to settle conflicts, I hope that our generation will be smarter and will be only trying to preserve the humanity, the peace, and ensure prosperity for all and equality. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening and end of this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramachukov, my dear friend from Russia. So everyone, you can now find out Friends for Leadership Instagram and also Facebook for you to follow how to engage in global organization, youth-led organization. This is very important to highlight, youth-led organization. And yes, I think you already managed to put your feedback in the Mentimeter link. Maybe my dear friend Wakana, can you share the screen for the result, perhaps, if you're able to?
Yes, sure. Let me share my screen.
You can see. If you still trying to put your feedback, maybe you can join, because only 16 so far, but we can open. So I can see small change matter, politicizing sustainable knowledge from other countries. So many people are saying that they learn about urban farming, healthy food, food collaboration, system change, urban agriculture, youth-led sustainability. Yes, a very interesting comments we can see there. Maybe it's just that the what the font and also the colors is not that clear, but it's okay. I think we can share this key takeaway later on. If you guys interested, and also my dear colleague Tino already put in the chat box on the feedback form. So I think you're good. Wakana, you can stop sharing. And yes, everyone, thank you so much for your very participative, for your very great participation in the session, in the interactive session as well as the group discussion. Yes, second photo session is very important. Before we leave, maybe you can switch on your camera. Yes, we already at 11 p.m. Yay! Congratulations everyone for the 3 hours. Yes, commitment for this dialogue. Yes, not everyone interested in this very, I can say, not serious dialogue, but serious topics. But yes, I hope you can get as much as information and also good networking as well. I can see people sharing their, oh, you guys are making like Telegram. Is it a Telegram chat? Yes, very good for you to keep in touch after this, or maybe you can share your Facebook link and all. Yeah, everyone already turned on your camera. My dear friend Balkis, are you ready for photo session? If yes, can you say something? Yes.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Yes.
On count down 3, say cheese, okay? 1, 2, 3, cheese. Perfect. Thank you so much. Back to you, Kak.
Okay, thank you so much to all our distinguished speakers, to all our awesome facilitators and also moderators for being here today, and I hope you enjoyed the session. And we will share the recording link later on. If you're interested, I will send to all through email. And with that, stay safe everyone during this pandemic time, and take care and be awesome as youth in whatever you do. Okay, thank you and Assalamualaikum. Peace be upon you.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy weekend.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Happy International Youth Day.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much.
Mabuhay. Hakuna Matata.
Goodbye. Take care.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great Races Day.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Terima kasih semua. Jumpa lagi.
Big bye to the friends of Cambodia in Khmer.
Great Races Day.
You're missing your home, I think.
I'm
Thank
missing
you
my
for
home.
all the knowledge shared today.
Yeah, this is my home in Long Beach, but I have another home in Cambodia. So I have another home. Two homes.
Oh, thank you, Brother Satya, for joining us. Great facilitating just now.
Bye, teacher.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Sharifa, for
Thank
having
Thank
me.
you, Dr. Maliki.
Bye.
Arigatou
Good Races
gozaimasu.
Day.
Thank you, Miss Hope. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.